How old is the Earth really? How many years does it actually exist? I kind of get the idea that it was created in the year 1984. And that's mostly because my memories kind of begin around there. But every human I talk to, they're know it alls. They know everything. And so they remember when they were babies and everything except for kindergarten through 12th grade. That was or the important parts of it, right? They probably remember getting drunk and stuff. But so I kind of write that off, right? Because we got these people who knows about flying reindeer and Bigfoot and Scooby Doo and shit, and it's just like, well, when someone talks to you that way, they're either belittling your intelligence because they're a crackhead about to rob you, or they're probably just a crackhead who's just freaking out mentally and stuff. I guess you don't when you have that crackhead DNA and you just do it. It doesn't really have to be for a purpose, does it? So I kind of assume we have this story that was written and stuff called 1984, which is the only world I've ever known is technology, and just like you're kind of born into it, and then there's like a whole lot of little other markers in the world pointing out um, the reality of what's actually going on, right? Which no one ever seems to talk about. So even if we were going to ignore people running around screaming about Bigfoot and glowing invisible flying deer, um, we have like a whole bunch of other stuff like lined up against that. Obviously, at this point, we have like they have these memories of being children, but they don't remember what they were taught for 12 years. And everyone gets shown the test scores, so everyone knows what that is, right? If they can read it. Like, supposedly back then, people couldn't read. Supposedly back in 1984, no one could read or write. And so the internet would be pretty near empty if it existed in 1984, which it was empty because very few people had it. But it would be empty because no one would be able to come online and talk because they don't know literacy yet. So, anyways, let's get back to the timeline here. So, another thing against the memories is when I summon new human clones. Um, they have that normal human interaction. Humans have like 5 things they talk about. People want to know about your money, especially females, and the other things. They need money for food. They need thousands of dollars a day for food. And then the other, what's on TV, or it's the internet now, because the internet isn't TV, because they said it's not. So even though you watch TV on the internet, it's not the TV. It's real and it's free, and Scooby Doo owns it. So since Scooby Doo owns it, it's full of freedom and peace and democracy. And well, that's that. So it's different from the other media that Scooby Doo people own. Scooby Doo directly owns the internet. So I guess it's different. No one's ever explained it to me like that, but that's the best I can pull from it. But anyway, so when I write down a detailed profile of what person I want to meet next, and they appear, I've done that enough times to realize, I I kind of get the idea that, like, literally they're being invented right then. And so, that's weird. They come with these backstories, and it's not like, you know, it's not much. It's just generally like the same thing. It's like a repeat story. So it wouldn't be hard to just like have someone say the same script over and over. So I get to the point of being like, are these actors or are they just simply bots in a game? Hmm. Or, I mean, there's always the other option that the devils, the human worships, have enslaved the planet with bots. But I don't know. The speed is a little too fast sometimes when the events occur. And plus, I'm pretty sure I've seen it like manipulating the time frame as well. So, like, things happen after I say it, and then I check it out how that happened, and supposedly it started happening a day before I said it. So that would take like an awful lot of like missing time, missing history that didn't actually exist as well to create scenarios like that and make things happen. So I kind of get the idea that the Earth might have been created about 42 years ago. Not created. I mean, I make the assumption that it's a game lots of people play, and who knows how many times someone else played the roles on here somewhere else a million times. And that's the only credibility they have to the different dimension type crap. Of course, they're always like telling you something and then leading you away from what it is, because apparently their people's purpose is to like try to enslave and kill the living people in the game and stuff. But if these people I summon have these fake backstories, and then they have a whole bunch of other people supporting their backstories, then that means like for each one of them, there's like a whole bunch of people who didn't exist and had to be created to be support characters. And so that eliminates right there a lot of the a lot of the history. Like, that can rapidly eliminate all history, actually. And obviously, when this clone thing happens, like, how does that happen? They appear in a neighborhood, they own a house, they have a family of 6, they have a bunch of neighbors who know they've lived there forever. So 7 degrees of separation like kills off shit real fast there when we're factoring in the clone thing, as long as we're not assuming that's an alien shapeshifter race, which pretty sure it's not, because I've had 2 of the clones in the same room several times, actually. I mean, long before I knew this was happening. Like, that's how I got to attempting to do it, was because I was like, is that actually happening? And it's like, well, it is now that I'm asking for it. It took like 4 years to get one of the originals to come back. That's what I was trying for in the first place. I was trying to figure out why everyone in my life was like the same bot or something. Like, even with the same names. Like, do you know how many Joes I know? And how many people actually got close enough for me to remember their name? I've met a million people probably, but I don't even have enough time to spend 700,000 hours with a million people. Shit, half the times I'm busy trying to get away from the other ones fucking around me. So I definitely don't have time to start up some new shit. Half the time, or like, I don't know, 1/8 of the time, those other motherfuckers, shit, it might be 2/3 of the time, those other motherfuckers might be about to kill me or kill the other person I'm trying to hang out with. You know, I would, I'm supposed to write that off as these are very jealous people, but I think we've seen that these basic explanations for things don't explain anything. You know, once 2020 hit, I was already studying these people for a long time, and then that's what it came to right there was like literally like people disappearing from the world. Like hospitals were empty, and houses were empty too, and the streets were empty. So, yeah, you put all that together, especially with the clone summoning thing right there. You know, I asked for new people to appear, and they do. And then they have these backstories and shit. Hell, like the one time I had my earpiece in, as I always do, as I have since I was born. That's nothing new. I've always had an earpiece in. Welcome to my world. Um, but well, the one time I summoned the clone, like there was like a live video on YouTube, like guiding me through the person. They were like talking to me in the you know, the video wasn't like it wasn't to me, but it like started and it went like exactly with the flow of speaking to this person. And it starts out by like when we send you something, when something gets sent your way, you can't reject it or you don't receive it. Because I wasn't talking, I wasn't trying to talk to the person. They were trying to get me to sit next to them. They were asking me if I wanted to sit down. And I was fine with standing up. So then the live video I'm watching is like, when we send something to you, don't turn it away. You have to like accept that gift. Almost like a vampire. You have to accept a vampire in your house, which is not the case because I didn't get to choose to accept lots of people. Like they've been sent with brutal, violent, maybe even psychotic force sometimes to become my friends and family. And there's one quick way to learn, at least that's one quick way to learn that there is no such thing as either of those. But anyways, so, you know, they like guided me through this, and they continue to talk, and the person's talking to me, but I still have like one piece, and so I can still hear what's going on in the audio. And the person, like right away when they talk, I mean I know what's happening like the second like the thing I'm listening to is saying like, yeah, pay attention when people are talking to you. And I'm like, oh, okay. And because I already heard her voice, and her voice was a replica of the person I was requesting a clone of. And then, of course, the lifestyle also was replica to it. But it was more tailored, right? Like, because obviously I'm not with the other person. I don't know what happened there. I didn't really care. I think it was just I simply lost their number. That'd be the one time it could have been my fault, really. So, you know, obviously if we have that going on, we have just people being invented around me, then there's a hell of a lot of history here that's fake. Like, people talking to me about their jobs and their families, and I'm really leaning towards the facts, pointing out that they didn't exist yesterday, or at least a couple weeks ago, because this happens so much that I understand, like, the time frame, and I've been requesting stuff. So I mean, at least at the very most people were appearing like a few months after I tried to summon, because it's like towards the end of 2020, and that was like when I started being like, wow, if we can do that, what else can we do? Create humans and move the sun? And sure enough, those things did appear in the world. So I get the idea the Earth's only a few decades old. Like, this actual instance of it is probably only a few decades old. And that explains everything. If you think about it, that explains a lot. How is it that things go around talking about invisible flying reindeer? They must be like, a couple minutes old at most or something. And this answers a hell of a lot of questions about what's going on. It's like, oh, it's a toddler. It's not even a toddler. It's a freaking preemie. It's premature fucking birth and shit. Fucking, and like a script right now for it to repeat. So I get the idea that the Earth was probably created because of all the propaganda surrounding the word 1984, and that being, like, that's like the actual Earth we live in, is where the humans have worked with some terrorist organization for thousands of years, and then they developed technology to enslave them, and probably had it to begin with. That's probably why their people prevent other people from owning and doing anything. Not just because they can't create much of value on their own, but because they're trying to keep people away from stuff. And that's easy to see too, because they're slave books. They're books for the slaves. Original Bible's for the master, and then other books are for the slaves. And books for the slaves, like, teach people to avoid technology, and then they kill the Germans off when they invent TV and steal it from them. So that lines up with that pretty well. Like, all that stuff obviously lines up because there's no other factual answer for that stuff happening on the planet. Like, ooh, how do they control everything? Are they really just like so fucking smart compared to the humans? Like, they're not that smart. It doesn't give them, like, the majority share of intelligence. Definitely doesn't do that, because they're always ratting themselves out and stuff too. So anyways, I think it was probably the game probably starts in 1984, because that's the world we're born into, is a world of technology, and everyone's enslaving themselves with it, and it was ready, like the major rollout was just like ready to come to the public, like when I was born. Like, it was already there and stuff, but the public, they didn't know how to read yet. So how are they going to get online? It's never taken time to explain how that happens. It just skips it over. It's like, oh, that didn't happen. You've never seen that before. So I get the idea. Obviously, like the clones I'm summoning, they have fake histories, and then that would mean everyone who thinks they existed have fake histories as well. So put all that together, and you can quickly reduce the age of the Earth. You have to reduce the age of the Earth by many, many decades and centuries. Because, especially if there's more than one person doing that, that would be like me trying alone. I guess I would have summoned the equivalent of like 100,000 people, like just trying like 5 or 6 times, and I started doing that. I started seeing if I could do that because I was already seeing stuff like that happen. And I was like, how does that happen? You know, like obviously it was more the 2020 stuff, but I was already seeing that, and I was already asking about that like a year before. I was like, why is it all these people coming to my life are like clones of each other and stuff? Like, especially like when I'm like trying to get away from the last one and stuff. That's that's like a bigger problem that probably plays into what the actual storyline here in the visual novel seems to be. That which their people, their model also uh, backs that up and stuff. That's what they're here for. While they're still like using that to brainwash people, they say something that lines up with what's actually happening every now and then and stuff, like the humans being a creation. But then again, at the same time, they're lying and saying they're living beings. And I don't really think characters are dropping in and out of games because it's the same. It's like meeting the same NPC over and over. It's it brings like different people around me. Like seriously, like I'm hanging out with people who are trying to get me to hang out with Donald Trump and stuff, and because they work with them, and that's not like really even uncommon. That's kind of like boring compared to some of the people I've been around. I mean, the person at all, their self, like, is definitely like, at the higher end of the scale. But technically, it's not that fun to be golfing and stuff. I wouldn't ever do that. Like, but they're trying to get me to come hang out at the clubhouse with Trump and stuff. So, running for politics, you gotta do that. I learned that. That's an odd thing too. They like interjected in my life when I was a kid, when I had no idea about anything and didn't want to, and still don't really want to. They were sending politicians into my life when I was a little kid, and they were teaching me how to be a politician. So I understand you gotta go schmooze people there at Trump's clubhouse and stuff. What is it about? Brainwash them. I do. Yeah, you gotta say it all cute. You gotta use cute words. Brainwash and manipulate doesn't work. So you gotta. They're like, why do you use our words? It's like, because you force me way into my life. Could it be that? Why did I use the word God? Because I was around some fucking pedophiles when I was young. Some homo pedos. Enslavers. And generally what those people do is go towards their scapegoat. Scooby-Doo when they're doing something like that. So, yeah, I'd say I'd be willing to bet a small amount. Not as much as on everything else I know for a fact is happening. But I'd be willing to bet a little bit there that the Earth, the time actually starts in 1984 and stuff. Think about that. You're playing a game. You don't play as a baby. That'd be so stupid. I don't. An average human probably, I mean, like they're sitting around, they're like 400-pound babies and stuff, just goo goo gaga and whining, feed me all day and stuff. But think of it from like a position as a person who's been alive for a few years. There's quite a lot more that stuff like that is like too boring and mundane to ever experience. Like being a baby, it's bad enough when you're a kid. You have the opposite of super geniuses telling you what to do and how to do it, and then you still like do it and do it better than they can, and then they're still like thinking they know what to do next, like force you to do slave labor or something, perform pedophile rituals, fucking whatever they got. It's kind of like on a repeat here. See, that's another thing there that makes it look that way, is like the repeat clones. Like before I'm like actually summoning clones, I was getting people in my life who are kind of like the same NPC in a video game. They would perform the same actions and stuff, even if they were like pretty fucking disgusting. Like people trying to get me to have sex with the men in their family, like my girlfriends and stuff, trying to get me to have sex with men. And they all look the same too. Pretty much everyone in my life. And then we tested why that was in 2020. And then they were kidnapping me when I was trying to dance with people who I actually found attractive and might have had something in common with. Of course, that happens, and then the human race just stands by while it happens. Of course, we found out in 2020 why we're on standby when the government says stand down, and then why we're in kill mode when the government says kill. It seems to be just the way it is here and stuff. But yeah, I get the idea that Earth started, the time clock actually starts ticking in 1984. And not even sure how much of that actually exists in between there. So to say it's even 42 years old is inaccurate. Because, when you have things like I say something and then I look it up and it happened like a day ago, it started a day ago, and I was asleep since it started. So you might as well just wipe out those 12 hours off the clock entirely, because I wasn't here. And I'm doubting anyone else was here if they think that thing that started 12 hours before I was talking about it. Sometimes they're pretty discernible things, like when the humans tried to kill me that one time, several times. I'm pretty sure, but I mean, that's real obvious in 2020 that, I asked for people to get free money and protected from the plague, and then they also kidnapped me and poisoned me and shit. So, I asked for that too. All that happened and shit. But pretty sure it's set up that way because they kidnapped me in the first place, and that just harkens back to the time where I get $1 million before they try to kill me, and they end up, on a low level, they end up dying from it. It's like you can't even defend yourself against these people, like on a little bitch level and stuff. All these bots, obviously, see, we got a problem here. We got people talking about being people, and no one's pointing out the simple fact that there's obviously some non-existent clones on this planet, fucking terrorizing the place. And and hiding what they really are. No one seems to care. No one seems to care about what the government does. They did it all in 2020, and they were doing it all every year before that, every day before that. Supposedly for centuries they have been doing those things like drugging their own families and stuff like that. Anyone they can find, pretty much. But yeah, hey, we could find out some real answers. Not that I've ever met anyone interested in finding anything out or doing anything of value. Besides work, everyone wants to work for Donald Trump. Not really. Most of them are way too lazy to ever attempt to do anything. They probably want it to be handed to them on a silver platter. At least the money, not the actual work part. Best I can tell, it's pretty streamlined personality it's generating here and stuff. It's picking from a small pool. But I'm assuming that's correct because, I mean, shit, bro. If I can play with the sun's fake. Okay, like, the humans are nothing. Like, I'm playing with the illusion that there's the frickin' planet's 10 million times the size of Earth and stuff, and they're just little toy ping pong balls to bounce around in the sky and stuff. Everything under the sun. That's a common phrase there. And that's why the obviousness of it is why I would choose to be like, well, what's the extent of what's going on? And I go straight to being like, well, can I move the sun then? And can I create humans? Because that's like, the extent of how far you can really go with anything. Like, what else do you need besides to move the sun? Or, you don't even need humans. Obviously, you could just create a bunch of humans if you can do stuff like that. But, yeah, I'm assuming from what I've seen that the Earth actually, the clock starts ticking in the year 1984. And that explains so much. If you think about it, just so many things. Like the people I meet who are empty, repeats of the others. It's like they haven't been alive too long, have they? Is there any way they could possibly be alive and act that way? Hell, to me, there's a ton of weird shit they do. Like when they repeat movie lines, it's like you watched a movie, you paid attention to that. That even small shit like that is weird to me and adds up over time. But you obviously need those bigger pieces of the puzzle to put that together and shit. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Unfortunately, it seems to be it's like a visual novel, and you just have to sit here and read it, let it play out. I don't think there's much I can do to hit the A button and speed it up to get to the end. I've been trying really hard, and a human would be dead. That's what I'm doing, is I'm trying to copy what they're doing when they die. And then the humans are also repeatedly trying to kill me the whole time I'm here and stuff. I think it's not every 4 years on average. When you count out, they drug me every day for a few years. It's like every few hours on average, the humans have tried to kill me. But bigger, noticeable events that their species was involved in shit is a little less frequent. And it's also got to do with the simple fact that I don't even participate or go around them. because of and what they are. I've got no use for them. They've got plenty of use for me, huh? Fucking, that's weird, conflicting fucking bot programming where you got them trying to kill me in some stages and then trying to force you, like creating a whole society to force people to be alive. But I guess it's probably part of the storyline where, the master rats are enslaving the lesser rats. And so they make up storylines about don't kill yourself, be our slave and stuff. Fucking, yeah, I'm assuming that this Earth didn't exist until about 1984. And 50% of that is based upon some real loose shit. But I mean, look how far we've gotten. Especially since 2020. Look how far the world's gotten since then. About just like pure ignorance being thrown out there a lot of times. Those are good markers and stuff. Requesting really dumb stuff like dinosaurs to come back, which they obviously haven't come back, right? Probably because they never existed. Plenty of stuff has happened. That's far easier, or far more less likely and complex to create and fantasy fairy tale based than creating dinosaurs. That would be like some real simple stuff compared to everything that's been happening since 2020 in my life, and lots of the world events too that have been happening. But, I mean, obviously the 2020 thing itself was like something that it hasn't happened since the Black Plague. And, I kind of get the idea, a lot of that's just like foreshadowing, events and giving little hints and guidance. To not sure how much guidance there is, because other than the hints being dropped forever, definitely wasn't any guidance about what's going on until like 30 years into it. So it was just like little stuff planted here and there to eventually see the other stuff. I mean, it's not even complex. It's just like you finally meet a person who throws out a spreadsheet with 10 people's pictures on it, and they're like, do you notice they all are related? And everyone who controls everything looks related. It's not even like some complex thing, but being set up with a bunch of information 40 years in advance about what those people are and what they're up to. Like once you get dropped that final piece of information, you put it all together. You put all that shit together real fast. What everyone else has been talking about not everyone else, very few people. I think, I don't know. I didn't go around people, so. I was at home reading this stuff when other people were at school, so. And that stuff was graciously being like forced into my life, because I definitely didn't want nothing to do with it back then, because I was under the spell. Those around me, like, led me to being under the spell from my birth. Like, how much of that magic shit, like, do the bots have access to and shit? Fucking, not sure their actual skill sets versus things I've seen that it's just making them do it. as part of the storyline and shit. But as far as I knew, pretty much no one was talking about it. And then someone who was like, I guess they would have had to have been forced in my life because everything seemed pretty forced and stuff. One of the few people that I don't remember how I met that person, but they were doing some shit, and I was just like, yeah, whatever. And I still learned about it. Not even from them. It's like they weren't teaching me anything. It's like they're involved in stuff, and they didn't know what they were involved in. They're real big into it anyway. You might know some people like that, huh? There's lots of people. Like I talked to people about some of this shit, and some of them looked scared. They definitely didn't look like they had already believed in everything they were saying. And yeah, so that's that. I do believe that it's a short instance, and they have that little propaganda that tries to convince you that you're in, like, those people are just always trying to, like, yeah, it's someone else. Literally, they think they invented the word scapegoat. In their book, it is invented in their book. That is where it comes from. So they're like the masters of this. Everywhere they go, it's they were obviously enslaving Egypt, and then they're like, oh, we were slaves there, and then right now they're victims in the United States, and they've been saying this forever. They're victims here. This isn't new. They're just, for some reason, they came out in the open. I guess we probably reached this chapter in the story where they feel they have to come out in the open about pretty much what they always have been, minus a few certain key things, because obviously they've been working for thousands of years to keep their stories going and to shed molt their skin anytime that they need to. I'm not sure if they actually need to versus just when they kill a new city full of people that they create a new thing there for them to better brainwash them and better hide themselves. It's like everyone's talking about Bigfoot and the New World Order and the liberals and the Republicans and the Muslims and this and that and the Christians and Satanists. And it's like all the same people. So no one's actually talking about anything of value, because all those people running their traps about that shit never fucking taught me anything about anything. The only way I learned anything is by studying them and their families. And a couple people did drop information and then turn. I guess they did. In their heads, they got this script where they got to talk about things to release their karma for what they do, but it doesn't even, they're not even really talking about it. It's like, they're like, and then Scooby-Doo, wicka wacka walla woo, I told you what I was going to do, so now it releases my karma. It's like, bro, if I don't even know what you're talking about till I get fucking decades of training and learning wish-washy fucking in people's actual history and watching what certain people are actually doing and comparing it to their words, and that's not really what's going on, right? And so that's a poor excuse. Weird ass karmic shit, looking shit did happen, but come on, like, someone kills themselves trying to kill you, that's karmic, ain't it? Except for the fact you got paid $1 million a months in advance to deal with the court cases that are going to come from their race fucking stalking and terrorizing you and causing you problems and shit. Fucking, and then that also sets it up so you get to go be at home and they get to have a homo fucking girlfriend of yours fucking try to bring her brother into an orgy with you and shit. People are real big on that shit. It's like it's one of their 7 genetic codes. Fucking people are real simple and stuff, and if they got something like that going on, they have something like that going on. And definitely seems to be like a staple there of the personality traits available, like a pool of 14 or something like that, allocates that to the 7 available slots. Fucking, that's one of those things too that's like, it should be obvious, but you got people running their mouth about dumb shit like sheep and stuff like that. And, you know, I've never met I don't know how many sheep I know. I know a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. And I know 1 or 2 people who I might put in the sheep category, but, you know, I literally get forced to go to passive aggressive courses to learn who these people are. And so I can see that right away, even if it never actually came out, which is like, you know, you got to cut off ties with someone kind of fast if you don't want that stuff to boil. So you don't really get a ton of studying of those models. But it really, you know, it really only takes one chance for one of these types of people to try to kill you or destroy your life or whatever to recognize the signs occurring in a new version. So, yeah, I get the idea this place starts in like 1984, and they put the book out there to, you know, and the movie and the internet website about 1984. And, you know, it's like one of those things like bragging about, you know, the world's going to be this way in 1984 and stuff, and it really is. Like, people are like, oh, we've won. You know, the people, you got them. Mostly it's them. I mean, we're on West Tube, so we're on Israel Tube, so it's like there's mostly one people there who get fed to you, kind of like in your real life when you're trying to look for someone to be around. For some reason, they're kidnapping you and preventing you from being around other people as their Bible commands them to. And it all looks so set up and taken stage too. Like, you've got these evil fucking bots in the game who have like enslaved the planet you come to and stuff, and then, you know, they've got all their fucking water world and grassland minions, and so you combine all that with the, you know, the simple fact that minions be having like fake histories. You just create them on command, and I don't know how long that's been going on, but it must have been a while, because I was already like questioning why and how that's happening, right? Because it was happening. So I was like, damn, why are these people like the same freaking people? Why does that happen? And, well, what happens from that? Well, it's pretty obvious to see what happens because of that. What happens because of that is everything that's going on, everything I get to see, like all these events. You know, it's like once every 10 years, too, these large events happen. And I also told you in 2020 that the soundtrack was upping its game. Like they were pushing out this new rapid pace stuff to get chaotic music to go with 2020. But some of it was appearing as existing before I seen it. Like I just seen this band the other day. I went to this place over here. Like one of the clones comes and talks to me about it. Like obviously they know I've been there before, and it's like this underground place too. And so they're like telling me there's new shit going on there and stuff, and it's like this is like definitely like a place a normie doesn't know anything about. The normies would be fucking scared of that place. I was told by the last band I watched play there that they were being banned. Like literally bands were being banned because they didn't like their message. And it was like, it was simply fucking, they had a few songs that were saying that they don't believe in Scooby-Doo. And yeah, it's kind of rare. That itself seems set up because you have like most of Hollywood talking about stuff like that. Like the band I just seen the other day was like pretty much the mixture of pop and goth, which is goth. Sure, I don't really like goth music, but it was more like industrial. And it's like they appeared out of nowhere, and they claim to be like 4 years old, and they don't really have 4 years of material. Like one song I was recording doesn't even have it. Like I can't even find it anywhere and stuff. It's supposedly they're like 4 years old, and they've got like one CD, and I've never heard of them, which is like, you know, a sure sign to me that this is one of those things that's being invented on the fly and stuff, because I generally know most of what's happening out there in the music world. And I think a lot of times when this stuff's happening, what they're doing is backdating it. Like the fire that happened over here. I wake up and I'm talking about fire, and then nothing smells like smoke, and then all of a sudden I go outside and the city's covered in smoke. And supposedly that started 12, 18 hours ago. Yet, I don't think it did, because my house would have smelled like smoke. My windows are real crappy at this place, and I haven't taken any time to seal them. So, I spent more time looking into buying new windows for this place than I have sealing it, because it needs it that badly. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure that this incident started about, I give it, you know, in Earth time, 20 years, because you have like a lot of you have like the sleep and stuff. Like I was supposedly sleeping when the fires would have been going on and stuff. And what else do you do during that time? I think that's just like a standard story. It's a way to close chapters and stuff. Like 9/11 closed a chapter on my life where it was like the first noticeable thing that large events were being set up. Like the humans working together to stage attempts on my life and stuff. And then, so that was like the end of that. It gave them something to do, you know, it distracted them. So all of a sudden that chapter's closed forever for me, and we're on to some Scooby-Doo shit. We're on to where I eventually get trained to go through a lot of shit, and then I eventually get trained to learn the humans' patterns, as if that's like realistic for like living beings to have patterns I could learn. Not at all. That's why I never would have wasted time reading about it. But lo and behold, there are some caricatures out there that have patterns. And I guess there's like 7 patterns. The book of personalities is like psychology is like 7 to 14 behavior patterns really at its core. So that's about all it is. And a couple other wishy-washy things and stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna assume that, right? Because we got these clones, we got these non-existent fuckers all over the place. Fucking, they're just like appearing on command sometimes, and appearing as supporting characters in other events. And so logically, you know, when you see that, you come down to the conclusion that, well, these are either paid actors, or they're freaking bots or specters. And we don't got the specter thing because the delusional people talk about that, and like, you know, you do throw the baby out with the bathwater. If the bathwater is COVID, the baby's gonna kill you. Fucking, it's gonna spread COVID to everyone, right? You know, that's just one of those stupid human phrases and stuff. Like, technically, you don't throw everything out, right? But for the most part, you probably should. You know, when people are talking to you about weird ass shit, Bigfoot and stuff like that, I would throw most of what they say out the window, because that's like me being one of those people who talk to animals and be like, oh, the deer is, you know, fucking telling me all about the world. You know, weird shits like that, but for the majority, it's all like very standardized. That's why there's books on how the beings here operate. It's because it's pretty standard. In fact, like, you know, like, talking about that Bigfoot shit is considered like mental delusions, but of course, I don't know how much of that time's wasted on NPC versus actually being part of the terror organization here on the planet. You know, being the terror organization, being ran by it, and being like a huge part of the story here and stuff. Like, it forces its way into my life often and stuff. And pretty much from my birth, you know, they're involved, the good fucking terrorists are involved in the pedo mutilation ritual, homo mutilation ritual. So, pretty sure those repeat patterns exist. You know, it's like when you're watching a movie or something like that, and you know, you got the Kingpin. He keeps trying to smuggle guns and weapons into the city. So you're like, huh. Next time you see the Kingpin, you're gonna be like, I wonder what he's smuggling this time, right? Real simple pattern there. It's the way stories are written. You can't just write a story where someone has a thought or changes, and then the story changes. Like, they're having to do that now because they've ran out of ideas. But in reality, that's stupid. So it didn't work, you know, 40 years ago, in 1984. So they didn't start making stuff like that en masse back then. They only had a few things like Twilight Zone that would of like different characters from different universes and stuff, because it's a real niche idea that it's pretty ignorant, and it destroys storylines to alter characters like that. So it makes the story stupid and unlistenable. Something that's just like, oh, I wonder what we're up to next. Like, maybe Bigfoot's gonna come in on his flying reindeers, huh? And everyone else is like, that's stupid. What does that have to do with it? And it's like, well, wait for 40 years and see, and you'll see how stupid it is. Everything's gonna be about magical appearing Bigfoot and the flying reindeer coming to save the day when Superman loses his power and stuff. The answer now can always be in like, what, 10% of the media at this point. It wasn't even considered one of the base genres. You know, there was like horror and action and comedy, and they couldn't work in multi-dimensional type stuff. You have to suspend everything else and just move on. But yeah, I mean, that's what they're going to have to do to make anything from now on, right? Yeah, look at this in specific, and compare this to how old the Earth must be. Now all of a sudden you have 100 bands named Death, and you got 100 bands named The Band, and you got 100 bands named. You would have 100 named Metallica, but they're money grubbing whores, so they would sue anyone who used it. You have probably 100 bands named Dismember. And I was watching that and figuring that was going to get pretty chaotic after a minute. And that can only last so much longer before you have like 10,000 bands named every word on the planet. And how are you going to end up finding that one band and stuff? I think that right there, it's not really proof of anything, but like I said, everything lines up with it. And that's how that's the point of patterns, is to be able to recognize things and predict the direction that those patterns are heading to. And right now you're on a pattern where you have, like I said, you got 70 million zombie movies, 70 million Dracula movies, 100 bands, and that's just in the past 10 years. It went from like 1 or 2 bands with the same name to like 10 to 100 bands with the same name. So that exponential growth of that is probably pretty unsustainable and stuff. I'm pretty sure this whole band shit that just appeared, that's weird. Some bands I never heard of appeared and stuff. Especially as well produced and well set up their stage show is, and well made their videos are. Like, they don't seem like a band who was just created 4 years ago, but looking at all the trails, it looks like they were probably just created like yesterday and shit, but with all that fancy stuff and better videos than most bands, famous bands and stuff. And maybe they put all their work into making videos. you got to look at things through the 2020 lens, where everything looks fake and fabricated, like an illusion, like it's a Muppet show, like it's a game. It's my first initial reaction, but then you realize, like, the game is you have the alien race enslaving the planet, and there's not much participation because this group, as with their truth, love, peace, and hope, is always there trying to enslave the world, and there's not much participation because it's like you're in a battle versus their people the whole time you're here, and their only weapon, they can't kill you. They might be trying, but they're definitely failures in that department. They they still have that ability. Like, in order to avoid them, you pretty much gotta do what they want you to in some form or the other. They want you to sit down and do nothing, and the best you can do is to not go around them and not talk to them, which will often require not doing anything. Like, I can't go outside because who's going to be there? It's going to be the same thing, isn't it? It's never changed, and you got the ham bots with their fucking garbage fucking limericks about if you want change yourself. It's like, well, yeah, let's get rid of these other people so we can. And it's just one of those dumb ham bot NPC conversation words, I think, because you can't change yourself while you're being enslaved by the best terrorist pedophiles God has ever chosen to absorb life from the living. So yeah, I'm really leaning towards 1984 because they put that word out there so much. And that really, like, that does describe what's going on. It's like technology everywhere. It always has been since I've been born. Now, I bet you if I talk to one of the clones I summon who's 60 years old, who's in a 60-year-old shell, he'll probably tell me a story about back in the old days, the world wasn't this way. Yeah, back in the old days, almost every time they bring that up, that's like a fraudulent thing anyways. They're like, oh, the world's going to shit. It's like, well, when was the world good? Like, from a different dimension or something? Did you just come to Earth recently? Like, I don't know how much worse it could get. You come here and you just spend your time trying to get away from the people being forced into your life. For the most part, like, that ends up being like a full-time job and shit. And it takes away from everything else. But the only thought you have is of, they're trash ass trying to kill you, and like, literally they fucking suck 1/10 of my life away with that one event alone, and then try to combine it with some of their incestual rape rituals too. And these are all like patterns, like that pre-COVID stuff wasn't new because of the Teen Wolf thing. It wasn't new because of that. The Teen Wolf thing wasn't new either, as far as I can tell. The COVID thing definitely wasn't new because the drugging and kidnapping thing was like rather a large portion of a repetitive storyline here. So anyways, I would see it as just a visual novel. Other than that, you have an AI, you have like a computer software controlling things that is offering like the same 2 to 3 choices every now and then. But it's still not like really like a game. That's still leaning way towards visual novel stuff. And that's really all it is. All it seems like I have this story to tell now. I didn't make the story up though. Someone else made this fucking story up for me to tell. And that's all that's came from it, is there's the story. There's the novel. So I'm leaning real heavy towards that. And 1984, mostly guessing that year because I don't know what year my first real memory was, extended memory, not just some one photo thing that doesn't mean anything at all, especially when it's conflicting with the overall feedback of what those characters end up being and playing the role of. It's like I remember looking up once when I was a baby, but I don't. I remember like third person out of body experience at that point in time. For most of that, a lot of my memories end up coming back in that format. But I know at least at one time, like I was in third person camera mode. Fucking humans call that out of body experience, but I think if you ever had it, you might recognize that as third person camera mode. So that's what I call it. And when it did that, it was like informing me of the chapter, that was like shit. That was like the opening to the story and stuff. That's like really my first memory and stuff, was when they were fucking around with me. I have some before that, but that was probably like the end of the first chapter there, because it was doing weird shit, like putting me in third person camera mode and letting me hear people like through some walls who were obviously saying everything I was hearing them say, because a week later I'm not at that school no more. So yeah, combine all that stuff together, and you have a pretty short instance, but it's mostly when I summon human clones that I realize, when I summon replicas of previous clones, that's the only thing that can describe that, right? You either have an alien race and the humans are bots who work for them, or you just literally have like the whole thing being set up like that, and where there's blank templates, empty cities. No, it's not the first. That's not the last time. Definitely, like I was going to cities, and the weird designs around the cities were like pointing out things. Now, like you can see where they lay out their pentagram in DC and stuff like that, and they always bring that up. But I'm pretty sure that that's not what's happening. It's I mean, there's a lot of actors involved in a lot of shit if it were simply that, but like the clone shit coming into my life, like imagine the ability to find the replica of the person I'm asking for, like same voice and the same lifestyle, same name. Like, I've always known a Joe, and it was always kind of the same Joe. And I even have them in the same room sometimes. That's what clued me into that they might not be real, plus how the one was acting. Like, people around me changed in 2020. Not necessarily into someone else, but into a person who knew something that they shouldn't know. And oddly, they're generally a portion of them are people who didn't know much of anything, so knowing things they shouldn't know, and then appearing out of nowhere and talking to me about my private life. Like, these are like fucking sometimes the evil characters in the game too, coming up and like unfolding the storyline, just like when you play a video game and stuff, or read a visual novel. You know, the bad guy can come up and Skeletor will tell you his plans and shit like that. I'm like, yeah, we've been watching you, He-Man. We're gonna get you, you know, shit like that. And it's like, bro, you literally like clean toilets and stuff. You work like 18 hours a day cleaning the toilets. I don't know where you're getting all this time to learn about me from and stuff. While you're doing this job, if you're like such a genius, you can figure all this stuff out too. It's more leaning towards the simplicity of I'd be overthinking things, especially when the world's showing you this stuff, like the AI generated videos. Well, wouldn't that be how the bands down the street now exist? Couldn't that be? If, I mean, it's pretty sure I would have known him before, but, like, it's just, they're appearing right there, you know what I'm saying? You don't need YouTube for that. That's been going on for a while and stuff. I don't know how far back that's been going on, but it's clear in 2020, like, the music is, like, speaking to me and stuff, and then I get to review my old catalog, and my music was talking to me about this shit too, and I couldn't hear the lyrics for a long time, which is good, because I don't like the music now. I get the idea that, like, most of them are fucking evil and shit, because the lyrics seem, like, pretty hateful and stuff. And that's noticeable now, because, like, I've been changing, and it responds. You know, I purposely, like, fucking change, like, throw a wrench into the whole thing, like, you know, like, all of a sudden, like, flying reindeer, and then they'll, like, you know, come up with the, you know, obviously I'll make it a little more unique than that. I'll be like, flying brontosaurus brushing his teeth. And then, like, you know, a top metal band will release an album that has a song about flying brontosauruses brushing their teeth and shit. So I've been, like, testing that a lot since 2020, and it's clearly happening. With all sorts of people, from unknown people to, like, this really highly fucking produced, fucking high-end visual fucking band that... not just that, these bands are showing up at places in this city, and this stuff never existed. So things kind of, like, this city was a college town, so a bunch of college kids and stuff, you know, where they listen to Madonna and stuff. And then the other stuff. I mean, shit. There's so much shit. Like, pretty much everything I think of here, like, is like some weird shit. Like, someone, like, well, how many people died? But everyone knows, died in this city. And it was like right down the block from me, actually. And fucking I can't help but think that actually had something to do with things going on around me, because I didn't fucking like that band, because, like, fucking hillbillies and shit, and it was like wrecking the metal scene and shit. As far as I was concerned, like that is the American metal scene. That's all they fucking had. But it was like going the way of Nirvana, and it was supposed to be metal and shit. And then that makes me think too of like what the fuck happened during those years too, because I was like, like I didn't like Nirvana because like the people around Nirvana, like there are certain bands I can't listen to because the people around them. Like I kind of stopped listening to metal, and then the world stopped listening to metal too. And I did that because of like it seemed kind of pussified and shit, fucking, and I was getting tired of being alone anyways, and I was just like, well, this is a waste of life, fucking. And then plus I had listened to everything, and it wasn't mass producing shit at that point, fucking. But I noticed, like, when the deaths occur, where it sets it up and stuff, and gives me money for the dude to kill himself near me and stuff, and try to destroy my life, and then send homo pedo incestual individuals. In the time I'm like locked away from my ability to go search for something I want in life, a continued pattern from this race here, from the Abrahamics. That's weird. Isn't that weird how, like, it seems to be the storyline here is the Bible people don't like God, but they're trying to put on a facade that they do, because I guess, I don't know what goes on in the bot's brain. Do they actually, like, network in their brain and, like, understand that they're, like, a villainous fucking bot species who has to network together or else shit goes on? I don't think it's that deep, but that doesn't mean I know they're not that deep, but that doesn't mean it's not part of the storyline here and shit, because I can obviously tell, like, yeah, like, it's setting them up to be real fucking evil people. I mean, pedos, homos, colonizers. I'm born knowing, that's like the most evil fucking people on the planet and shit who do shit like that, and I'm born with them creating all sorts of millions of manipulative ways to hide who they are, starting with changing language. And who is it who understands language more than anyone? It'd probably be the person winning writing awards from the president when they were a child. So they seem to be vested in creating manipulative language for someone, yet most of the human race couldn't read until the update around 2004, when it brought them all online, and Skynet came online. That makes me wonder too, like, have they become self-aware? Like, I don't think they actually can be, but in the storyline and stuff, like, they do have words like self-aware computers and shit like that. And a lot of the other shit they talk about happening, I get to see parts of it happening and shit, right? Like, you got the whole, there's sun gods, and so it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like, and then other people pointing out to me too when I'm playing with the sun. And so a lot of this shit written, fucking, at least portions of it, have like what is capable here written. And like 1984 is like a huge fucking thing. I didn't read that or pay attention to that. I wouldn't need to. I already knew that was going on. I was living through that stuff. And one thing they don't put in 1984 is that they don't have bots walking around enslaving them. And see, there's always got to be some loose holes in the story in order to make it work and stuff, especially where it's a story where all I get to do is come here and try my best to avoid them. So I like literally can't even try to advance a storyline if I wanted to. I can't advance my own storyline because it creates grassland minions generally. It, the fucking the Koopas might be in my way a lot, but like the rich Koopas, like the Koopas at the top, Bill Gates, I've never even met him. He's never came to me and caused me problems in my life that I can prove and stuff, where the grassland minions are generally the ones sent to do shit like that, And then there's like the level of control that is happening, and it's like steadily, rolling out its bullshit, and the storyline, forcing the real storyline. I mean, obviously, are you going to listen to flying reindeer people if they say anything? Like, you better watch flying reindeer people, and they'll tell you what they're doing and shit. They're creating delusions because they're trying to hide something. So that's the best you can learn from them is watching their actions, and that'll tell you what they're really up to and stuff. Don't listen to the words. So take the word murder and terror and torture and turn it into help and hope. They did. That's what those words mean. Like, of course, there's some vaginas out there who have a slave master that they enjoy a lot. They enjoy being whipped by or whatever. But I think it's pretty obvious to see what the word democracy means and what the word freedom means. And those are the people selling you the books of hope. Donald Trump sells the book of hope. His people supposedly created all of those books. The pre-hope book, the I'm Not the Hope, pre-hope book, the I'm Against Hope, after hope book, like Hope's Invisible Hope book, which is all just part of a storyline that someone's been forced to say out loud at one point in time, where the Italians are going around the world and enslaving the world and creating a new Hopi, hocus pokey story for each city they didn't colonize. That's not something I generated early on. I wasn't on a global scale when I was younger, so that would be like the preset storyline, like Teen Wolf coming to kill himself and me getting $1 million in advance. I didn't ask for that, but Teen Wolf's people are fucking disgusting and vile, and at that point in time, I don't know who they are. I have people telling me small things about them. People I don't trust either, because if they look like them, obviously the hope and anti-hope people look the same, and as long as they're spreading the same delusions, you can tell that they're probably the same people. And then you deal with that enough times and you realize, oh, they're all the same people. Like, this is what they do. This is their bot programming. This is all they can do. This is all their people have ever done, never will do. Try not to date any unless you want to have sex with their dad. You date their daughter, you're probably going to have to end up having an orgy with their father and the daughter at the same time, probably every Friday, maybe every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Fucking patterns. It's just, it's there for a reason, right? And that reason obviously is some sort of storyline going on here that's forced to roll out, and you're forced to deal. I don't know. I don't even participate now. Right now, right now the bots probably like are, they've probably always been like, oh, that's good, like, he's not coming to school because we're drugging him and enslaving him, and he's just sitting at home doing nothing. That's good. At least he's doing nothing. But the story still unfolds. Like, while that's happening, still fucking unfolds like a noose around their neck and shit. Fucking, I just sat there and let nothing happen until 2020, and then the humans attacked me for fucking starting to record them and document what they're up to and shit. Fucking, and then, well, that fucking, they tied their own noose with that, but obviously that's a noose that they created a long time ago and shit that hasn't fully closed yet. Still the same problem out there on every street corner and shit. And still dealing with their people like shit. I mean, shit, what was that last year? It took like 1,000 people in my city to band together to try to kill me again, including them and the government. And then that's just the first day. So the following events that I had to deal with, because the little puss bitches do these things where they try to kill you and then they call the cop, they call their Nazi enforcers, and they're like, Mommy, he hurt me. They hurt my hand hitting the Man of Steel. He assaulted me. So I had to deal with their people even more on that shit, like following that up. Pretty much wasted my whole summer. And then I sent the Slimeback Christian fucking to wait outside the courtroom for me and shit to try to force me to worship their race as gods. I'd say it's pretty obvious what the storyline here is evil ass fucking cult bots and shit on the planet here. And a living person comes to deal with them and shit. Fucking. And how do you do that if you're not allowed to defend yourself because you live in a nation of terrorists, the world's largest terrorist organization, hiding as a nation of people who don't like it when fucking people have even ground. They prefer it when it's like 10,000 on one and stuff, fucking, because they're apparently they feel so weak that they need that shit in order to fucking get somewhere. Well, pretty sure it began in 1984. What do you guys think? You guys you guys know anything about all the clones I summon and stuff? Makes sense, don't it? That their histories are fake, so there's a hell of a lot of fake history out there that isn't actually real happening in people's brains, which probably isn't real, and it's probably just fucking dialogue being fucking fed. Like the clone I talked to the other day, when I talked to the original from like 20 years ago, they went straight to the COVID shit, right? So it's like a dialogue choice that they've been repeating for like 30, 40 years. It's a terror network. Fucking one of their ways of killing and silencing dissent, trying to fry people's brains and kill them off and stuff with their beautiful, helpful Christian satanic atheist hospitals and their beautiful colonizer people who have beautifully replaced actual beautiful people with fucking Jeffrey Epstein and Lady Gagme and fucking Woody Allen The story is real simple and shit. It could be pointed out probably to most people. Wonder why they use their media to promote all this other hogwash when their people, among others, will come up to me and tell me pretty much that I'm what's going on, and I know what's going on. So why wouldn't they put me in their little terrorist media there? Fucking, we can hold a discussion instead of making up a new evolution or Bigfoot story and shit. Fucking wonder what they're hiding and stuff, that they have to act like bitches all the time and lie and make up and waste people's lives, rape their way into people's lives, fucking destroy people's lives, try to set them up. I'm sure mostly in the storyline, like, it's not them. It's not like people being set up to die. There's probably more of a purpose to it, like they're people trying to rob me, and then the storyline is actually they die trying to rob me, trying to kill me, and then they die trying to kill me, shit like that. Fucking, I'm sure it's not just, oh, they just accidentally showed up, because so many accidents happen, right? Like, literally, it's the same people, mostly the same people being forced in my life over and over since I'm born. A bunch of homo pedos who belong to this fucking beautiful cult that fucking claims invisible people chose them pedo terrorists to be the best people on the planet, and they just have a history of. That's what Nazis do, is they go around telling people they're God and you better worship them or die. And usually they got some tanks and guns or some drugs to back up their threats. That's what actual Nazis do, right? Fucking, that word wasn't invented yet when they invented their shit 6,000 plus years ago. It wasn't, and supposedly people couldn't even talk back then, let alone say, understand words and stuff. Fucking. But yeah, I'm banking on it that it's 1984. That's around the time my memories start. And I know I've been here. And I know those clones haven't been, because you just don't magically show up when I fucking request you if you existed fucking before that, right? So, and then I watch the people around me, like, change. Like in a weird way. They didn't change in any other way. They changed in, mostly it was like noticeable things. I haven't been around anyone since 2020, so everyone changed in 2020, obviously. Put a ban. I think I tried to put a ban on them when I was born, but predators will be predators, won't they? Even if they're fucking just hyenas. They still created hyenas to be predators, even though they're not any good. They still created them as a predatory animal. So, yeah, I'm banking on 1984 because of, not really, it's mostly the movies being named that, and that describing like the actual world. Like the real world. Like, what explains how I summon human clones? You think I'm a magician or some shit? What explains how we get the illusion of the sun moving, and then, the crops being burnt, or floods happening, or whatever because of it? You think that, like, I'm a magician? 'Cause I don't know, that's stupid. Yeah, I tell you, I'm the one fucking watching this shit happen. And so I think I have more say versus 10 billion other people on what is actually going on when that happens, considering They're the ones saying I'm the one doing it, and I'm the one watching it happen when I say certain things. So I'm pretty sure that I can, I don't go asking people digging through the dumpster how to drive an F1 car. I go ask the person driving the F1 car, how's he doing it, you know? So that kind of leaves it up to me, because the rest of the input I get comes from the Santa Clausites. And for the most part, those people, like, there's no reason to listen to them ever. They're already proving that they're liars and manipulators and deceivers. And the first thing you should do to people like that, who are liars, deceivers, and manipulators, is never let them near you again. It sounds simple, like just don't talk to them. But liars and manipulators and deceivers might have a purpose, and they might not just be doing that to do it. And usually they come with a predatory personality trait. And that's would be what they're lying, deceiving, and manipulating for, is to prey upon people. So you combine all that together, and the hyena still comes after the tigers and the lions, and they'll bring 20 of their people, the hyenas, around, not even caring that last week that they just lost the other 20 of their fucking pack who was doing that and shit. But they do it because why? Because that's nature. Although, of course, some new human clones, I realize, and playing with the sun and the weather and stuff, I realize, like, well, they're obviously not the living thing on the planet, right? Animals aren't just going to be magically the only living thing on the fucking planet. And they would be bots too. So nature is just a pre-programmed NPC character and shit. And lo and behold, we have the other people acting like NPCs, and the obvious clones being NPCs. And so the game, I believe it's showing you how the characters are created through animals as well. You don't have to waste your time in psychology classes to learn how humans act. You could talk to them, or you could watch animal shows and stuff. I recommend talking to them because, of course, we have the world's greatest pedo-terrorist creating those books, so they're going to leave out probably the more important things you need to learn about beings around you and stuff. They generally do that, and everything they write, they leave out. Like all this stuff, all the rabbit holes online, it doesn't talk about anything. None of those people are doing anything. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, no one has any proof there was anyone doing any sort of magic tricks or anything like that. You can see weird magic trick videos and stuff, but those people don't talk about what they do and shit. And they tell you it's they're hiding cards up their sleeves and stuff. Those people don't talk about that stuff. Fucking. And other people who talk about some sort of magic shit are trying to get you to worship their race as gods. So, obviously all the same magicians too. Look like pretty much all of them. Might have seen one in my study of magic that didn't look like them, but I don't think, no, I think that's David Blaine. He just doesn't look like them, and his name's David, and he admits he's one of them, so, yeah. I think it's 1984 because the clones I summoned, they didn't exist before I created them. So where is their history coming from? How do they have a history if they didn't exist before that?